welcome back. You're still watching the Nile article, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Dr. Nabil Negm, the international relations analyst and the member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile article.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and thanks for the invitation.
The pleasure is all mine. First of all, we have seen what has happened for the past few days in terms of the American-Russian bilateral relations and the economic sanctions bill that could be introduced by Senator Lindsey Graham. How do you see this will be affecting the relations between both countries, especially that we have seen another level of good bilateral relations between the U.S. and Russia under the tenure of the American President Donald Trump and, of course, the Russian President Vladimir Putin?
The relation between Moscow and Washington has never been quite normal. It's always between, hot and cold. It's never been normal because both of them, they have managed to get the world order structured by their leadership. After the Second World War, Washington and Moscow have kicked out London, Paris and other capitals and told them enough is enough. Now it's our time. Since 1945, USA and the ex-USSR, United Soviet Social Union, were establishing what I call it a bilateral world order. And according to the power of those two states, the world was divided between NATO backed and Varsovia backed. Varsovia backed for the eastern countries, and most of the southern countries joined the Warsaw Pact. And Europe and the capitalists and the monarchs joined the Western Alliance.
Yes.
That world order kept going since 1945 and Dayton Agreement all the way till the fall of the USSR in 1991, when that empire, United Soviet Union, has dismantled, and USSR has been distributed all over the Eastern Europe, and new states came. That is the real beginning of the heat and tense between Moscow and Washington. So I don't stop by such, what you call it, legislation of the Senate or other, no.
Yes.
I am so much concerned of the end of that bilateral world order and the beginning of a new world order, which is now we are watching. And I will leave that to the next few questions.
You've mentioned that this could be giving us a new end for the world order that is taking place in the world right now between the United States and Russia, and this could be introducing a new world order.
Yes.
How do you see this one?
We are watching the rehearsal of the new world order. It has not been shaped yet. I do believe that we are watching the rehearsal. When in TV we say we're going to do pilot for the program.
Yes.
Now we are watching a pilot for a new world order. What is the shape of that order? We don't know. But I can tell you for sure, to shape something, you have to heat it up, put heat to transform it from the solid status to the liquid status, then it will be easy to be transformed. This picture is being clear to me.
Yes.
Ukraine, heat, very much. Gaza, heat. The Gulf and war in Iran is a heat. What's going on in Latin America. So there are, all these little wars are not by accident. No, they are well organized. Why? Because they are fighting to keep the world order under their control.
Yes.
But there is other factors like that sleeping lion. I call him always the sleeping lion.
Yes.
China. That sleeping lion is watching. He's watching very seriously.
Would it be more involved in the New World Order?
That's for sure. But they are playing the game in a very Confucius way. You know, China has got wisdom, the Confucius wisdom.
Yes.
The Chinese are playing it very, very wisely for the last 20 years. But they are overtaking the economy all over the world by controlling most of the world trade. They are building their military arsenal, and they are watching, and they are leaving US spending money, destroying its credibility, and they are leaving Russia spending money, destroying its credibility in Ukraine. But I believe very much the new world order is in the process of shaping up. When will it finish? Nobody knows. Will it finish peacefully and we're going to have a new world order peacefully? I don't know. Do we need a third world war to take us to the new world order? These are the big question marks.
And you've mentioned that the US is destroying its credibility with what we have seen during the war between the US and Iran, and the aggression by the Israeli occupation forces against the innocent Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Of course, we do know that a state like Israel has no credibility whatsoever nowadays after the aggression that we have seen against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. You've mentioned also that Russia is losing a part of its credibility through its war with the Ukraine. Is credibility important nowadays, in your opinion?
Losing a credibility, it is a sign of bankruptcy. If you cannot enjoy sort of what you call it in a personal level, money, you don't have enough money, you start to make some adventures, gambling. And when you start gambling, you lose your credibility as a respectable man. When it comes to the international relations, I'm so sorry to tell you that the criminal Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, is the one who dragged US Mr. President Donald Trump to the war in Iran. It is the criminal Netanyahu who pushed him to that mud. And Mr. President Trump cannot get out. He is up, it's up to his neck, the mud. And what happened with Iran has affected the US international credibility badly, and has affected the national credibility of the Republican Party and its leader. Why? Because they have spent billions in that war. They have lost a lot of their stocks in missiles and military and all that. They have lost the respect of the Gulf states, because for the last 40 years, I'm sorry to tell you that the Gulf states thought that USA is the bodyguard in the area, in that zone. And after 40 years, nothing happened. What
can change after this war, especially as you mentioned that Israel had dragged the United States into a war against Iran? No one is winning, at least
Who's winning?
Now.
No
one is winning.
No, there is one person who's winning. Mr. Criminal Benjamin Netanyahu.
Do you think that he will be losing the election?
He is the only winner so far, because he has pushed the USA to get involved in that war, to make the world forget his war crimes in Gaza.
But no one forgot.
That's what he thought. By opening a new front in Iran, people will forget Gaza. And another reason that he wanted to mislead the public opinion in Israel and show that he is the one who is moving and shaking, especially when he came out with that criminal slogan, I am going to change the maps of the Middle East. So I said, Iran is losing. Gulf states are losing. USA and Mr. President Donald Trump is losing. Israel itself is losing. The only winner is that criminal Prime Minister who is wanted by ICC.
Do you think that this will be changing his political future after the elections?
The answer to your question depends upon the awareness of the Israeli voters. Would they swallow his lies? Would they accept his crimes? Would they accept to re-elect a criminal wanted by the International Criminal Court as a prime minister? I don't know, but I tell you, if the Israeli voters are wise, they will not re-elect that criminal who is wanted by the ICC. So now you asked me another question about what will happen after the Iran war.
Yes.
I believe very much the Middle East is going to change. Number two, the allies, the strategic allies are going to change. Number three, USA, if it doesn't correct the situation by the midterm election in November, this is the only way to change. But I would like to take you to that Mecca defense agreement which has
Turkey
been
and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia
declared last Friday.
Yes.
Pakistan is a nuclear state, has got 150 nuclear heads. Turkey is well established when it comes to defense industries, and they have a very strong army. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is the Mecca for 1 billion Muslims who go straight to Mecca and Medina. So that strategic alliance is gonna open another big door, which is, myself, I hope they are serious, I hope they are honest. So seriousness, honesty, and I hope they are ambitious, because I wrote in my last article and I said we are approaching the new world order. Where is the Arabs and where are the Muslims from that new world order?
Regarding this specific pact between Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan, do you think that this is the GCC countries, the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, moving away from the American presence in the region and having alliances with different countries? What is the role of Egypt within those changes?
These are two questions.
Yes.
So let me start with the first one. The first one, which is the GCC, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
This is just something, has got nothing to do with this. This is a very much strategic alliance. Big players. Pakistan is a big player. Turkey is a big player. Saudi Arabia, politically and religiously, is a big player. So, no place for UAE, with all respect, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, no.
But they could be having other alliances with different countries.
I don't think so. They are not in a situation to do that.
But they were involved in the war between the US and Iran.
No, they were not.
They were hit.
They were hit.
They were attacked.
Hit something, but involved with something else. Iran said, if America hits Iranian civil facilities, we're going to hit all the American interests.
Yes.
Slowly. Because when they said American interest, they didn't define it. Military interest or civil interest. Okay, where is the American interest in the area? It is spread all over the GCC countries.
Yes.
American bases in Kuwait, UAE, Bahrain,
Jordan,
Saudi Arabia, Oman,
yes,
Jordan. So they are hitting American interests. But the GCC countries have not launched a war against Iran. The GCC countries have not declared that they are supporting America. No. They are paying the bill for a lunch they have not eaten.
So Saudi Arabia has a
Should I say
different
it
strategy.
again? They are paying the check for lunch they have not eaten.
Yes.
Sorry.
So Saudi Arabia has a different strategy. With this agreement.
Saudi Arabia, dear Ahmed, is not a small country.
Yes.
It is a big, well-established kingdom. Saudi Arabia is a leader, religious leader of 1 billion Muslims. They are following the custodian of the two holy mosques.
Yes.
The custodian of the two holy mosques is the Slagon, is the Manarat for 1 billion Muslim at least. So when Saudi Arabia joins Pakistan, which is a Muslim country, a nuclear Muslim country, and Turkey, which is another Muslim country, yeah, member of NATO, but the flag is that Muslim sign
yes.
in it. I'm writing an article, what is the name of it? Will Mecca defense agreement will be a Muslim NATO, an Islamic NATO? A question. Because they said in that agreement, the door is open for any other state.
Yes.
So they are not just closed club. It's not an exclusive club. It is a defense agreement, and they declared it open for others. The second part of your question, Egypt. I am not an official to speak on behalf of the Egyptian leadership, but I believe very much Egyptian leadership is well aware of all these developments, and they do have a reason. I should like to ask them, why didn't you go and sign that agreement in Mecca last Friday? No, they have a reason, which is, it is a very complicated situation. For Saudi Arabia, they have got a clear, good reason, which is to protect the kingdom against Iran and its proxies, Houthi and Hajj al-Shabi and Hezbollah. So the reason or the motive of Saudi Arabia is to protect the kingdom, which is clear. The motive for Pakistan, that India, which is enhancing its relation with Israel, so tomorrow it might do something stupid. So they are getting that alliance and defense agreement for that motive. So now Saudi Arabia has got a clear motive. Pakistan has got another clear motive.
So Turkey?
Turkey has got that ambitious leadership. They say, okay, we are not enjoying our leadership place in NATO. So why don't we create a Muslim NATO? In my opinion, out of my following up to the international relation, every one of those three has got very strong motive to sign. Egypt is not under any pressure, thank God. We are not under, but the national security of Egypt is being looked after by the president, by the great Egyptian army, by the National Security Organization. So I think time will come soon and you will get an official answer for your question.
Yes, and speaking about the official answers, we were speaking about the economic sanctions from the United States against Russia. Do you think that this is an escalation in terms of the sanctions? Because ever since the beginning of the war between Russia and Ukraine in 2022, there had been a lot of economic sanctions. What is different about this economic package this time around?
Under the leadership of Mr. President Donald Trump, I don't take things seriously from Washington. I'm sorry, because I have to describe it. It's a cowboy politics. The leadership of Mr. President Donald Trump is not quite stable one. And my evidence, look at the statements which coming out of himself through social media or his administration. And look at the situation in the Gulf. What they have gained, what America has gained after those March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months. Waste for everything. And I believe very much it came out of such, I don't say it immature, but I call it cowboy politics. So sanctions on Russia, sanctions for the states which import weapons from Russia, it's just, sort of cowboy politics. I'm sorry.
But those back and forth statements by the US President Donald Trump regarding the war in Ukraine, even he said that he could be ending the war in 24 hours, something that has not happened until now. The war between the US and Iran, even the Congress has not approved such a war. The aggression by the Israeli occupation forces against the Gaza Strip, at least he had a role in that, in terms of ending the war, in terms of having a ceasefire between Hamas and the occupation forces. But the back and forth statements, how do you think this will be affecting negatively the global image of the United States in different fields, such as the politics and the economy?
I describe it as credibility. Destroying the credibility of the United States administration. America is a great country, American people are great nations. They deserve better than that, in my opinion. They deserve better than Mr. Donald Trump. I'm sorry, this is because America is what you call it. It's one of the countries which supposedly talking about freedom of speech, democracy, respect, all that. I'm sorry, with such administration, he has demolished and destroyed a great deal of that bright face of USA. Now he's backing down and he's calling for cooling down the war in Iran, yes, and they're gonna ask the American voters, they're going to ask for answers. For what? All this spending, destroying, wasting opportunities. For example, the 1 liter of gas before the Black Saturday, 28th of February, was $2.24.
Yes.
Today it's $4.45. And the living standard of the American people is going down. Last November, 25,000 people lost their jobs. So the public opinion in USA, 68% of the Americans are against the war. They say it's not an American war, it's an Israeli war. And Mr. Trump went against all that. But I believe very much he cannot go all the way because November is approaching and the midterm elections are approaching, and his Republican Party might lose a great deal of seats in that election. Going back to...
Will he lose a big number of seats in your opinion?
If he doesn't finish that war before November, and if he doesn't go back to the American people and say something to justify the loss, I think the Republican Party is going to lose a lot of seats in midterm election. Yeah.
Speaking about the secondary sanctions, because those sanctions, the economic bills, they're not just targeting the Russian companies, they're not just targeting the Russian oligarchs and the businessmen, but it could be targeting the other countries, the intermediate countries that are dealing with Russia in terms of buying power, buying gas, buying the energy products from Russia. Do you think that it will be hitting those intermediate countries?
My answer will be very simple. Will Moscow sit down like this according such or towards such sanctions?
Never.
Never. So Moscow, Russia, has got Iran. And Russia could, and it is doing, by the way, satellite facilities, because Iran used to support Russia in the Ukrainian war. They used to send them the drones. Iran producing drones and provided Russia in the war. So I don't believe that Russia is going to watch them without helping. And when USA is imposing sanctions on the intermediate companies, as you mentioned, and Russia itself, I don't think that Russia will sit down and watch that. They're going to hit back. So all that mess, again, all that mess is a pilot for the new world order.
So in your opinion, how can Russia respond politically and economically as well, not just on the political level?
Economically, they don't have a lot, but they're going to use their proxies around, and one of them is Iran. And I think they do have some proxies in Latin America. And that Grenada file and Canada up north of USA. Moscow still have some political cards to play. And if they lose the political cards, they might move to the military cards. So we approach to the second scenario of a world third war. I repeat. If they cannot do anything politically or economically, Russia will not give up easily. They might come to the, what you call it, the zero option. Push the button for the nuclear war.
But on the outside, we do know that those sanctions, this bill is targeting Russia, it is targeting Moscow because of their involvement in the conflict with Ukraine, of the war against Ukraine.
Yeah.
Do you think that those sanctions, the economic sanctions and the political steps taken by the European Union, the NATO and the United States against Russia will be convincing the Russian president to be sitting down, talking, having negotiations between himself and the Ukrainian president, ending the war?
Mr. Putin is an ex-KGB officer. In the 80s, he was stationed in Germany as a KGB officer, by the way.
Yes.
So he's an intelligent man. So he will not take that option unless he gets the negotiation door opened with the president of USA. So no direct talks between Zelensky and Putin before direct talks between Trump and Putin.
Yes.
And I believe very much they're going to go for something they call it exchange of goods.
But there seems to be a good relationship between the US president and the Russian president.
This is exactly
several talks. Why didn't the war end?
Yeah, this is what you call it. Machiavelli described it in politics.
Yes.
No love story and no wars in politics. Politics is a game where you hug me and you can stab me in the back while you are hugging me. This is politics. And they are playing it very clearly. Don't you tell me that they are in love, Putin and Trump. No. They are two parties who are watching each other. So I believe very much all what's happening, Mr. Ahmed, is the rehearsal for the new world order. Don't forget that word, I keep repeating it. For our people in this area,
yes,
in the Middle East. And I believe very much we have to pull our socks up and find out, will we have a share in that cake of the new world order? Or will we be just watching till somebody else comes and controls the world? I think that Mecca agreement hopefully is a positive step in that role. We should, Muslim bloc, how many countries do you think? Almost about, say, 50 or something.
Yes.
Imagine of those 50 countries, the Muslim countries said, we're going to stop importing Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We shouldn't be naming names, but...
No, it's international.
Yes.
I'm sorry. When I went to USA and I told him I want to eat American food, he told me Kentucky Fried Chicken is there. I said, no, this is not American. This is international. So imagine if those Muslim countries,
yes,
come up with one statement. Sorry, Jerusalem is one of our holy places, and we don't accept what's going on in Jerusalem. Imagine if the 50 something Muslim states said, sorry, Mr. President, you cannot just, bombing a school of girls in Iran. It's against the rules of war.
A unified front.
This is the only way, my friend, the people will respect us. When we come together, Egypt alone cannot do it. Saudi alone cannot do it, Saudi Arabia. We have to get ourselves united in one word against who are abusing power. I wrote an article before about the Security Council. We are talking about sanctions and Russia and whatever. 5 permanent states: Russia, USA, UK, France, China. Everyone is having his veto. So that body is paralyzed. We have to restructure the Security Council, because the main job of the Security Council is to keep peace and stability in the world. Is this world enjoying peace or stability?
No.
No. So what is the job of that Security Council? The job is they are looking after each one's interest. If USA doesn't like a project from Russia, veto. If there is a project coming from China to do something, no, veto. And other...
Vice versa, yeah.
Exactly. So the whole world, my friend, is paralyzed. The world order is expired. You know the product expired date? The world order expired since 1991. And I was interviewed about end of this month. There is election for the UN Secretary General. I said, I'm not interested who's going to be there, because it's just a toy. Useless.
Hopefully the New World Order and the major players will be having different things to say without a New World War.
Yeah.
Dr. Nabil,
so.
Please allow me to be going to another report regarding the economic sanctions that were enacted by the U.S. Senate and championed by the Senate Lindsey Graham by the U.S. Senate. We'll be having more details regarding those updates from the U.S. against Russia in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
U.S. Senate passes Russia sanctions bill championed by Lindsey Graham. The U.S. Senate approved a bill intended to punish Russia and countries that buy its petroleum exports, capping a legislative push that was spurred by the death of its champion, the Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. The measure, renamed the Lindsey O. Graham Sanctioning Russia Act in honor of the late senator's work on the issue, was approved by an 86-11 vote. Rand Paul of Kentucky was the sole Republican to oppose the legalization, together with 10 Democrats. The bill would impose new sanctions and visa bans on Russia's President Vladimir Putin and top military commanders, as well as put tariffs of up to 500% on the country's exports. It would also allow Donald Trump to impose levies of up to 100% on goods from countries that are the top 5 importers of Russian oil and gas. The proposal was a top priority for Graham, a Republican senator from South Carolina who spent the final days of his life working to advance it, but the effort had become marred in months of negotiations between the White House and the Senate leadership. After Graham's sudden death last month at the age of 71 following a trip to Kiev, party leaders announced an agreement to get the bill through the chamber and honor his legacy as an ally of Ukraine. The Senate took the first step towards advancing it last month. This bill forces those primary countries keeping Russia's economy afloat to make a simple yet critical choice, a choice between doing business with America or buying cheap Russian energy. The measure was a relatively rare bipartisan accomplishment ahead of November's midterm elections, where Democrats hope to channel voter sentiment against Trump to regain control of Congress. By imposing steep sanctions that will further drain the Kremlin's war chest, Congress is delivering an important reminder to Putin and his allies that this is a losing war and authoritarianism will never be allowed to go unchallenged, said Chuck Schumer, the minority leader. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, also cheered Senate's action. She said that Europe and the United States can once again show what historic partners can achieve when we act together. The measure now heads to the House of Representatives, which may consider once it returns from recess at the end of August. Some Democrats have warned that the bill would give Trump new tariff powers at a time when he has put such levies at the center of his trade policy. Paul and Democratic Senator Ron Wyden have offered an amendment that would have stripped some of the new tariff authority from the text, but the Senate rejected it by 32-64 vote, saying that Trump just weeks ago imposed a new 50% tariffs on most Canadian goods. It would allow President Donald Trump to dodge holding Russia accountable and impose yet more tariffs in his destructive trade wars, leaving Americans to foot the bill.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Nile article, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Dr. Nabil Negm, the analyst and the expert in international relations, as well as the member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Dr. Nabil, thank you very much once again for being with us.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. We're speaking about the effects of such a sanction, the economic sanctions, and the bill that was passed by the U.S. Senate, according to Lindsey Graham. Graham, he was championing such a bill. How do you think this will be affecting the neighboring countries, the other countries, not just the US affecting Russia, but what about China? What about India? Those countries that will be affected by those sanctions indirectly.
No. China will not be affected because Chinese are having their precautious arrangements, and they are already okay with the energy stocks. India as well, and both of them, by the way, are importing from Iran. I don't think neither China nor India would be affected. Russia, the cost of producing a barrel of oil in Western Siberia is $15 US, which is nothing. So that allows Russia to export and get income or revenues.
Yes.
I believe very much that paper or that legislation is going to enhance and wrap it up the wheel of war or the wheel of tension, because Moscow doesn't need more challenges. They are not in a good situation, the administration in Russia. And that Ukrainian war is affecting Russia internally. The victims of the war, the economy which is being affected. So it's going to hit the reputation of Mr. Putin internally.
Yes.
But I am afraid, they say, don't corner a cat. Leave space for the cat to run away.
Yes.
By cornering Russia, you are opening the gates of hell to the European front. And as Mr. Criminal Netanyahu is doing, is shifting the conflict from Gaza to South Lebanon, from South Lebanon to Iran. Why don't Mr. Putin do the same or does the same to widen the war, not only Ukraine or other countries.
The other European Union countries.
Eastern European especially. I believe it's not a quite wise situation. It's not a wise decision. They have to come and say, okay, we cannot go on like that, and China should get involved because they do have good reason to be a player, a major player. Russia, China, UK, France, and those five should realize time has come to change. The world cannot be managed same way since 1945. And I believe very much Mr. Trump is not a sort of strategic leader. No, he's not a strategic leader. He's a businessman who deals with, he manages the state with the word deal.
He's a businessman.
And when you say deal, you use it in the Wall Street stock markets or the city in London. Deals are not in politics. And this guy keeps debating the word. Deals in Gaza, deals in... And in Gaza, the criminal Netanyahu is refusing a great deal of that deal. So the administration in Washington is going to change, because if they keep going this way, they are pushing the world into the unknown. Yes.
Do you think, Doctor, that there will be a shift in terms of the military power wars that we have witnessed waged by the United States against different countries in the past century, it will be shifting into the shape that we are seeing nowadays, the economic sanctions against Iran, the economic sanctions, another bill against Russia, the economic sanctions against Cuba, for example. Do you think that the military power has failed the United States when it comes to wars with their foes?
It is not the military power which has failed. It is the politicians who have failed. Politicians, my friend, who are ruling the world, not the military leaders. Military is the second option. When politicians fail, they go to war. So war is not a sign of victory. No, it's a sign of desperate failure. And I believe very much what's happening between USA and Iran is a great example for that. It is not the military who should be blamed. It is the politicians, as well as Russia. This war of Ukrainian war, it is the failure of the politicians in Russia and in Ukraine, Kiev.
Do you think that this means that the American foreign policy is one of the main strengths for the United, especially after what we've seen in terms of the negotiations between the US and Iran?
American foreign politics under Mr. Trump is the main obstacle to the stability and peace. I'm sorry. Because they should have stood against the war crimes in Gaza. They should have stood against other war crimes in different places of the world. They should have not kidnapped a president of Venezuela and go with his bedtime clothes. No, I'm sorry. What we are watching during his first and second presidential terms is totally away from the principle of the father founders of the United States of America. Go and read it, what they have said when they have founded that state, the father founders.
Constitution and the amendments.
And respect democracy and blah, blah, blah. What I can see coming out of the White House is very black.
So speaking about what is coming out of the White House regarding the European relations, because there was tension between the United States and the NATO. There was tension between the United States and the European Union, especially during the war, ever since the 28th of February and even until now. What will happen after the bill was championed by Lindsey Graham, and it could be enacted and implemented as soon as the month of September?
Let's wait and see, but I can tell you sanctions will affect the circle of the economy worldwide. Russia is member of that regime, world economy, and its allies are other parties. So I don't believe very much when you sanction the trade or economy of one country that you're going to be safe. No, this is a very short-sighted politics. Sanctions. No, you come and tell them, I'm sorry, what you are doing is not with the United Nations Charter. Stop it. Go to Israel and say, sorry, what you are doing is a war crimes. Stop it. Then people will respect you and economy will flourish. But sanctioning is a weapon, though it shows that a big weapon. What happened with Iran? Now Iran is on top of the issue.
Yes.
On top of it, tells them, sorry, nobody's going to move from the Hormuz Strait unless we are satisfied. After all that money, after all that waste. So sanctions is not...
They need compensations as well.
And they need compensation. And I have heard one of the reports about a month ago that President Trump is calling for the Gulf state to finance the reconstruction of Iran. It is totally foolish and immature, and I don't take sanctions as a strong weapon. It is a weapon of the weak parties. If you are strong, come up and talk to people clearly and say, okay, let's go to the negotiation table and let's talk and let's divide the cake fairly.
But do you think that the new world order, it will be multipolar, as you mentioned, different players? It's not just about the United States and Russia or the USSR as it was in the past. But will it be fragmented or united?
The what?
The new world order, with all those players involved.
Again, I have to go back to my answers 15 minutes ago. How will we get the new world order? Shall we get it through a peaceful venues or through war? Third World War. It depends, because
what if it happened through peaceful means?
Okay, if we
let's be optimistic.
Okay, let's be optimistic. If we go through peaceful scenario, it means China, with its strategy, clear strategy, is going to have its big cake. Russia will diminish, will go back. USA will be more rational. Now, Africa, Latin America, and Europe. Africa, Latin America, and Europe. I believe that Africa should stand up and say we need a permanent seat in the Security Council. Go back to my articles about reconstruction of the Security Council. I said a permanent seat for Africa, a permanent seat for Asia, a permanent seat for the Islamic world, a permanent seat for the Vatican, a permanent seat for the Latin America, permanent seat for Europe, permanent seat for Northern America, permanent seat for USA, permanent seat for China, permanent seat for Russia, and permanent seat number 11 for the Secretary General. Why? Because we have 11 permanent members of the Security Council. No veto. Any decision should be taken by majority. Majority means 6 out of those 11.
Yes.
So this is the only way we cross the heritage of the Second World War. You know how those 5 became permanent members?
No.
After the Second World War.
Yes.
They said, okay, we are the winners, and bring those 2 losers, France and UK.
Yes.
So Russia, China, they took China because it's big. Big state, big people, big population. USA is a winner, Russia is a winner, USSR, then those 2 losers, France and UK, and China. So this platform was not rational, was not logical. No, the Victorians are taking the prize. And what is the prize? The Security Council. And since that day, wars after wars after wars, famine after famine, you know, the world has not tasted peace or stability. Why? Because the Security Council is not a positive, justified body. No. 5 interests of 5 different countries will never agree on one thing. So the new world order, as I told you, should be changing the mechanism of the international politics. The United Nations is just like, you know, what? A temple. They go and pray there, and that's it. It's like other, you know, organizations in the Middle East. They go sign papers, and they pay money for thousands of employees, and that's it. I'm sorry, we are really desperate to have a new world order, and that supremacy of USA and the supremacy of Russia should be behaved. And poor continent like Africa, Asia, Latin America should have its voice.
Yes.
Because we say the international body which is ruling the international arena. And I believe very much people look around and say, what's going on? That crazy and that madness. That crazy and that madness is the beginning of a new world order. Inshallah.
It's not a coincidence.
No. It is organized.
It's a plan.
It's a plan. I'll tell you something, my friend. 2003, I was preparing a program about terrorism. 2003.
Yes.
And I went to the Congress Library, and I hope everybody's listening. And I found an official paper signed by the American Congress entitled the U.S. 50 Years Strategy for the Middle East. That was 2003. And that paper was signed 2002. And if you remember, 2001 was the bombing of the Twin Tower.
Yes.
After the crash of those towers, they came with that paper. The 50 years strategy for the Middle East.
So until 2051.
Thank you very much. So from 2003, 50 years, you go to 251. Now we are 2026. So we still have 24.
It's like halfway.
Halfway. When I read that strategy, the U.S. 50 years strategy for the Middle East, you know what does it say? It says we have to change that part of the world. We have to increase the number of foreign schools and colleges, and we have to increase the number of cultural institutions. Louvre should come to area, and we should take.
It did.
Sorry?
It did.
It did. And Canadian school, French school, and all this, we have to get the religious imams and give them scholarship to go out and see the world and come back with different dawah. It's written.
So to be changing the identity.
Thank you very much. To changing the identity to what you call it, in America they call it destruction from within. So after those years, we are 22 countries, the Arab countries. We have 7 failed states. Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, then Libya, Sudan, Somalia, those 7 countries in fight, destroying the state from inside. How? First, destroying the identity. Second, create conflict between same people, the same country. In Libya you find East and West. In Sudan you find Army and Hemeti. In Yemen, Houthi and whatever. In Syria, in Iraq, and Lebanon. I'm sorry to tell you, what is going on in the Arab countries is a big example about penetrating and destroying the states. We have to wake up and realize that the state is the roof. We all under the roof. If the state falls, we all going to pay the price.
But our president always speaks about those principles, to be united, to be keeping our identity, not to be having chaos, not to be having divisions.
Absolutely. And they are abusing nationals, either stupid or
paid
or ignorant, or people who are asking for money and power.
Yes.
They are using them. And what happened in Egypt 2011 was a great example. What happened in Sudan 2018, another example. My friend, we have to raise the awareness of the people. Wake up. If the roof falls, we're going to all pay the price. Muslim, Christian, whatever. Keep your ideology for yourself and put the country and the state on top. This way we're going to fight such strategy. And another thing is, Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, His Excellency, said 2015 in the Arab Summit, he said,
yes,
we need to form a national Arabic security and defense power. And nobody replied. That was 2015. Iran war was what? After that, 7 years. And now if they had that call from Egypt,
yes,
answered, we could have been in different situation. Anyway, briefly, we have great challenges. We have to stick to the value of the country,
yes,
the state, and ourselves. That's it.
Dr. Nabil Negm, the member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs and, of course, the analyst for international relations. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine. We'll be moving on to the economic segment of Nile Article 4 tonight, focusing on the economic sanctions that were passed by the American Senate and championed by the late Senator Lindsey Graham regarding the sanctions being implemented against Russia and their involvement in the Ukraine war. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.